You did it again. You opened the app for 30 seconds and somehow ended up feeling worse about your entire life. Someone got a promotion. Someone bought a house. Someone looks like that. And for a moment, just a moment, something in you deflated. You didn't want to feel that way. You told yourself not to. And yet here you are. Here is the thing nobody tells you. You were never supposed to stop comparing. Your brain wasn't broken when it did that. It was working exactly the way it was designed to work, by engineers far older than any app, any city, any civilization. The real question isn't why you compare yourself to others. The real question is why a system built for survival is now quietly running your self-worth. And the answer goes back much further than you think. For most of human history, your ancestors lived in groups of roughly 100 to 150 people. That number isn't random. British anthropologist Robin Dunbar identified it in the 1990s after studying the relationship between primate brain size and social group size. The larger the neocortex relative to the brain, the larger the stable social group the species could maintain. For humans, that number landed at around 150. Dunbar called it the cognitive limit of meaningful social relationships, and today it bears his name. Inside that group, everything mattered. Your position mattered. Your reputation mattered. Whether you were seen as capable, generous, strong, or skilled, all of it had direct consequences for your survival. A higher social rank meant better access to food, mates, shelter, and protection. A lower rank meant you might be the last to eat, the first to be abandoned when resources ran thin. Your brain learned this early, deeply, structurally. Social comparison wasn't vanity. It was data collection. It was your ancestors constantly asking a single urgent question: where do I stand? Because knowing where you stood told you what to do next. Work harder, form alliances, signal loyalty, step back, or push forward. The psychologist Leon Festinger formally named this in 1954. He called it social comparison theory. His insight was elegant and uncomfortable. Humans evaluate their own opinions and abilities, not through objective measurement, but by comparing themselves to other people. There is no inner scale you can step on to weigh your intelligence or your worth. You need a reference point, and your brain reaches for the nearest one automatically without your permission. Festinger also noticed something important. You don't compare yourself to just anyone. You compare upward. You reach toward people who are slightly above you, more successful, more attractive, more capable, by whatever measure feels most urgent in that moment. Sometimes this is motivating. It lights a fire. But often it simply makes you feel inadequate, and yet you keep doing it. Why? Because the drive is not about feeling good. It was never about feeling good. It was about staying informed. Your ancestors needed to know the gap between themselves and the strongest member of the group, not to suffer, to strategize. The suffering was a side effect. The data was the point. Now, fast forward to the present. Your neocortex is unchanged from the one that ran those calculations in a camp of 150 people, but your social environment has exploded in a way evolution never anticipated. You no longer compare yourself to 150 people you see every day. You compare yourself to millions, curated, filtered, highlight reel versions of millions, every single time you open a screen. The researcher Sherry Chouinard at the University of Michigan published findings in 2021 showing that the frequency of upward social comparisons on social media correlates directly with decreased life satisfaction and increased anxiety. The mechanism isn't mysterious. Your brain processes a stranger's vacation photo, the same way it processed your neighbor's bigger catch of fish 50,000 years ago. The emotional signal is identical. The scale is incomprehensible. You are running ancient software on a modern network it was never built to handle. And here is where it gets stranger still. The comparisons you feel most sharply are almost never about the things you consciously care about most. They are about the things your social environment tells you are the current measures of standing. Status markers shift with culture and era. In one century, land. In another, education. In another, followers. Your brain doesn't invent the measuring stick. It absorbs whichever one the group is currently using and then measures relentlessly, automatically, and without mercy. This is why you can feel completely confident in one room and utterly inadequate in another. It isn't that your abilities changed. The reference group changed, the measuring stick changed, and your ancient comparison engine recalibrated instantly the way it always has, the way it always will. Psychologist Thomas Musweiler spent years studying the mechanics of social comparison and found something that should make you pause. The comparisons that hurt most are not comparisons to people who are wildly, obviously different from you. They are comparisons to people who are similar to you in most ways, but ahead of you in one specific way. A colleague your age who got promoted first. A friend who met their partner the same year you started looking. A peer from school who built the thing you always said you were going to build. Proximity, not distance, is what makes the comparison sting. Your brain does this on purpose. Comparing yourself to someone incomparably different produces no useful information. What would your ancestor learn by comparing themselves to the chief of a distant tribe they would never encounter? Nothing actionable, but comparing themselves to the person sleeping 2 fires away. Same age, same skills, same starting point. That comparison produced information they could actually use. You are still doing that calculation every day. On a planet of 8 billion people, your nervous system has already sorted through the noise and locked onto the people most like you, most adjacent to your ambitions, most capable of triggering the specific signal your brain reads as you are falling behind. So what do you do with this? The first thing is simply to see it clearly. The comparison reflex is not a flaw in your character. It is a feature of your species. It kept your ancestors alive. It built cooperation and hierarchy and motivation across millions of years of human history. You cannot remove it. You are not supposed to remove it, but you can update the context. When the comparison fires, and it will fire, you can ask a different question. Not where do I stand relative to them, but what is this measuring? And does that measure actually matter to me? Because the measuring stick is not neutral. It was handed to you by your environment. You didn't choose it. You absorbed it. And for the first time in human history, you have enough self-awareness to examine it, set it down, and pick up a different one if you want to. Your ancestors had no such luxury. They had to play the game with the rules the group set. You have something they didn't, the ability to choose, at least partially, which group you measure yourself against and by which standard. That is not a small power. The next time you open the app and feel that familiar deflation, remember that what you're experiencing is a 50,000-year-old survival signal, misfiring in a world it was never designed for. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It is collecting data. It is looking for your place in the group. The only question left is which group you let it look at, and whether the measuring stick in that group is one you actually chose. You opened the app for 30 seconds. Your brain ran the oldest calculation in the human story. And now, for the first time, you know exactly why.